Okay, in today's video, I would like to share with you the numbers behind the square to Coral Castle and to my magnetic propulsion system that propels my wheel right there. I discovered these numbers unrelated to anything having to do with Coral Castle. I was trying to lay out plans for a concrete block pyramid, and when I started laying it out, I realized it was doing something just like Fibonacci but with a square. So I'm going to show you what I figured out here and how it relates to everything. So let's get started. In one of Ed Leedskalnin's writings, he wrote something that caught my eye, and I wrote it down and always kept it in the back of my mind because he says the words looking glass 3 times in a relatively short amount of words, and it just stood out to me for some reason. So when I started putting all the pieces to Coral Castle together, this is what I've come up with. Ed's talking about the Polaris telescope, which is a looking glass. It's the most important thing in the castle. This is why. Ed's looking glass is at the center, showing you the dielectric or counter space. Everything is working like this. You have 2 dimensions. You have space and you have counter space. In between, you have the plane of inertia. Okay? So you're working with a circle representing space and a square representing counter space. In my last video, I went over the numbers behind the circle, dealing with Fibonacci and the Fibonacci sequence, because magnetism, which is represented here as space, follows the Fibonacci sequence. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the numbers and how it works pertaining to the square, because this is what we're dealing with today. And Ed's showing you all this in the castle, and I'm here to show you how the magnetism is working, because I set to figure all this out and show what Ed was trying to show the world but couldn't say it. Okay. Now, Ed's flywheel is doing this. At the center of it, it's the same thing as this. This is counter space at the center of the wheel. At the center of the wheel, when that thing is spun, it goes into those patterns right there. At the center of it is that 6-pointed star. At the center of Ed's pond is the 6-pointed star. So he's showing you that everything is emulating from that empty point of counter space in the telescope, which happens to be just like what I was working with in the limestone quarry. I was dealing with core boring samples and cataloging them so they could be gone through for analysis in the lab to test the quality of the limestone. And when I was working as a field service technician in the construction industry, my job was to take the core boring concrete samples and cast concrete cylinders to use in compression strength testing. So I was dealing with the same thing that Ed's showing you right there. Basically, a core board hole. So, what Ed's showing you with the Polaris telescope is this. He's showing you that the Polaris is like a polarity switch. It's doing this number here. It's doing the 369, but it's putting the 9 at the center. So it's doing a 6, 9, 3. And here it's doing the 6, 9, 3. So it's pulsing or oscillating, just as the universe pulses or oscillates. And that's just how my magnetic wheel works. You have to pulse the magnets for it to operate and for it to rotate or torque or cause torsion. Just like the torsion when you empty out all the water in your drain. That swirl, it's the same thing. It's what Ed's telling you with the swirl, with the three-dimensional S-curve. That is magnetism. Okay, I pointed out in my last videos what Ed is talking about. Regards to this right here in the dollar bill. Okay, in your dollar bill, you see the capstone with the eye. This is the eye. This is why the Illuminati and Jay-Z and Beyonce are always doing this triangle sign, because they're doing the delta. They're hiding it in plain sight. Because if you don't know, then you just don't know. This is what it is. The delta T. It's a double tetrahedron. See, it has 3 positive edges and 3 negative edges. Double tetrahedron. Okay, and you can see how the frequencies work, and you can see the 0 point. So here you'd have a positive, you'd have a negative, and then you'd have your neutral. Okay? Just like Ed's showing you with the Polaris telescope. Just like my wheel works, it's the same exact thing. Just like Ed's flywheel works, it's the same exact thing. There's a reason that Ed called his flywheel a flywheel. This is the reason that Ed Leedskalnin called his wheel a flywheel, because it really, truly was a flywheel. Okay. Here at Coral Castle, Ed's got this set up with the pyramid and with the telescope. When you take the driver magnet from my magnetic wheel and place it into the pyramid position, just like on the picture, okay, and then you place a circular magnet. Remember, it's just like the dollar bill. It's like you see the capstone levitating off of the dollar bill. Same thing, okay? So, when you place a circular magnet in the keyhole properly, you get this effect of levitation, just like the capstone. the eye, the all-seeing eye, the dielectric center, the Polaris telescope, the dielectric center, the maglev pencil, the dielectric center. See what happens when you set that geometry up? You get levitation. It's that simple. It's hidden in plain sight. Okay. It's showing you this everywhere. He's showing you this right here in this wall structure set up. Here's the square. Here's my square magnet. Okay? Here's the pyramidal shape up on the top. Here's a pyramidal shape with my magnet. Okay? So what he's showing you is here. He's showing you this. Right here with this stone chair. He's showing you this. This L shape in the magnet. Because it's all about that right angle. Because that's how this energy is moving. It's with the right hand twist. Okay, so when you take all of this along with a super powerful set of magnets in that delta shape, right, just like I was showing you here, just like I was showing you right here, it's doing the same exact thing. So when you set it up on the wheel, this is the action that you get from it. Remember I said everything is pulsing. Everything in the universe is pulsing. Okay? See, when you pulse it, it catches in and then locks. But you have to pulse it. That's how everything's working. A 3, a 6, and a 9. A positive, a negative, and a neutral. That's what Ed's trying to tell you. And that's what he's showing you with all this stuff. He's showing you a positive and a negative and a neutral. And telling you, just like Tesla, that that is the key to understanding everything in the universe. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this. And this is super, super important because this is the hidden. This is the second piece of the puzzle. That I figured out by setting up this. I was trying to set up a concrete block pyramid. So I started laying out the base layer. I divided this into 10 sections, across and up and down. When I did that, I put 10 numbers across until I got to 100. So there's 100 block in this base layer, 100 squares. Marco Rodin points out that magnetism operates on a base 10 number system, which I later found out. Notice you see the number 55 at the center of this square. Well, the 55 is the center of my magnet, or set of magnets. And the 55 represents the dielectric center, or counter space. So, stay with me. What this is showing you is something that is pretty remarkable. It's showing you energy running in two different directions. It's showing you energy running from this way, and then it's showing you energy running from this way to this way. Okay? So, it's just like my magnets here, how they're the two L's. One L this way and one L this way. It's the same thing. Because that's how the energy moves in a magnet. You have your centripetal and your centrifugal. So you have Fibonacci running one way, Fibonacci running the other way. So what this is doing, like I said, it's showing you the L here. It's like Ed's showing you with his chair. He's showing you the L. And then he's showing you the L the other way. Okay, so you got your two L's, just like how my magnets are set up. What it's doing is showing you the 3D S-curve with this whole deal. Okay, so, and it's also showing you a right angle addition and a left angle subtraction. Okay, so it's showing you can add this way, or you can subtract this way. Okay, it's a base 10 number system, just like this. 55 is the driver. And before I figured this out a couple weeks ago, I kept having something with the number 55. And I watched the show on the anniversary of Cannonball Run. And they showed the Lamborghini Countach, and they kept crossing out the number 55 on the speed limit. 55 is the driver. 55 is the driver, and they kept crossing that number out in the speed limit because that's when they started imposing speed limits across the United States, and everybody was upset about it. Okay, so the 55 is what's driving everything, because that's the dielectric center, or counter space, or the drain, or the lowest point of pressure. So, when you get into this, it's just like the Fibonacci sequence, but for a square, basically, because it's doing this. Okay. 55 is at the exact center of the square, so it's the neutral. The Great Pyramid is exactly at the center of the landmass of the Earth, meaning that it's right on that axis. It's perfect. Okay, so when you get into this, you're dealing with everything being curved linear. And when you put it into how you are using the prime quad sequence in the circular numbers, when you plug that in to the square numbers of 55 with the Fibonacci, when you multiply 55 and you times 1.618,
you get 88.99. When you divide 55 by 1.618, you get 33.99. Now, when you take 88.99 divided by 33.99, you end up with 2.618 to 1. That's your new ratio, 2.618 to 1. So that's how this whole thing is working. It's the 2.618 actually is the golden sum. See, it's like you got Fibonacci for a square and Fibonacci for a circle. When you divide 2.618 by 1.618, you get 1.618. That's how the whole thing is working. Ed was a genius. And the people that know about this are really smart, and they're probably few and far between. So that's what I figured out when I was trying to lay out the base for a pyramid made out of concrete blocks. I tied all this in together, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to get into a few more videos on Coral Castle, but that's how everything is working. It's all operating just like this. When you set up this magnet and put it in that diamond shape like that, it's really putting this out into counter space. And all these points, when spun and rotated, are going out into space and into counter space, creating your three-dimensional S-curve that is magnetism at the center of your well. When this thing's really spun up, see the three-dimensional S-curve? That's Ed's well. That's the dielectric center. That's counter space. That's how this whole thing is operating. And that's what Ed was trying to tell you, that this is the most important thing right here. I hope you like this video, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.